So welcome back to part 2 of the Jordan tour, and this one's about Petra. So if you're going to Jordan, I would have thought that Petra is going to be the highlight of your visit. Now Petra is quite a big site, okay? So it's probably about 20 square miles of, and the bit that you will have seen will have been a tomb that's cut into the rock called the Treasury. And if you start at the right hand side, we're doing typical kind of Arabic here, right to left. The entry gate is down in the bottom right there, and it probably takes about an hour and maybe a kilometre or two to get to that single facade called the Treasury there. But then the whole site opens up and you get this much more panoramic open scene as you go into the main site. So we were on a guided tour, so our guide kind of got the tickets for us, and we stayed at a local hotel in the small town of Petra itself, which you could tell at the time was on the wrong side of a downturn in tourism. It wasn't particularly busy when we were there. But anyway, let's hand over to me outside the Petra site. So when you come to Jordan, probably you're coming here mainly to see Petra, and this is the entrance to the Petra site. So it's one of the 7 wonders of the world, so you'd know that you're at somewhere significant. So you get your tickets, probably your tour guide will get your tickets, and you'll meet here. There's a few shops and bathrooms and other facilities, and then you'll walk through into the main site. So from here to get down to the Treasury, which is the bit that the classic Petra scene, probably is about 1.5 kilometers, maybe takes an hour depending upon how fast you're walking. Well, that's just the start of the site, and then it opens out into a much bigger plain where there's a lot of very interesting architecture and archaeology. Now, as you can see from this, the place is very quiet, and it had that feel of a deserted theme park. So there's kind of like this entrance pavilion where you can get drinks and whatever, and then you head down towards the Seek, the canyon, and it's probably 1 kilometer before you get to this canyon. And this is the money shot, okay? So this is the one that you've seen on Last Crusade, no end of films, and you go through that narrow canyon for about, I don't know, 800 meters, perhaps a little bit more than that, and you come out in front of this Treasury building. This is actually an Instagram post that I did, so that's why it's in the portrait mode. And look at that. So that area in front of the Treasury is probably about the size of a football pitch, and there was just no one there. So if you go and look on other videos of Petra, you'll see that there's loads of people there, and just look. I would say that in the whole site, when I was there over 2 days, probably saw less than 1,000 people on each day. It was very, very empty. So I'm about 800 meters past the Treasury, and the canyon opens out, and there's a little kind of gift shop and a place where you can get a coffee and some toilets. Now, apparently a year ago, all the way down there were little stalls run by Bedouins that were selling, scarves and that kind of thing, and it was supposed to be a little bit fatiguing, kind of if you've been to Marrakesh, and you get that whole buy this, buy that kind of thing. This year, gone. Apparently moved out earlier on in summer, so kind of at the start of summer. The other observation, and here I am in September, the 3rd week in September, is that it's dead. Like, there's no one here. The hotel is pretty quiet. Just look, this is kind of mid-morning, and normally people come and do it before they get the strength of the sun, and it's absolutely dead. That's because there's, I speculate it's because there's an escalation in the conflict going on kind of next door. So look at this, spectacular. Look at those troglodytic houses up there. If you ever saw my video of when I went through Spain, and similar kind of effect up in Spain. Anyway, I'm stopping for a coffee, and then yeah, that's it. And so in the gift shop, I did pick up one of the Arabic scarves, the shamaz, I think keffiyeh is what they're called in Jordan. I can't say that it's a great look on me, but anyway, I tried to carry it off. It works better on me when it's a scarf. So behind me the canyon goes up to the Treasury and the entrance to Petra, and then you come down into this area here, and we just took a little detour to go and look at some of these tombs up here, these royal tombs, which are as equally as good as the main Treasury that you see kind of whenever you see any video of Petra. So we've been to look at these, and now we're following the path down. Just heading down. We're going to have our lunch down here, and then I think there's an option to go up to the monastery and to the urn, which is up in one of these crevices up here. So off to the left there is the theatre and the way up to the Treasury. That's the middle of the site, and then down to the right is kind of the way that you'd go up to the monastery, and and this is taken from one of their tombs that's kind of like in the side of the canyon as you go down. So I think this is as good as it gets if you come to Petra. So behind me, where that facade of large monuments is, that kind of runs up towards the entrance and where the Treasury is that you see all the time if you ever see any film or video of Petra. And then it comes down. This would have been the old marketplace down here where these columns are, running up to a temple over there where you can see the columns. And then this is the main city down here. Just behind us there's a church complex just over here, excavated I think by the Americans, and what our guide was telling us is that there's so much here, so much archaeology here, that they get a lot of support from partner universities. So I think there's something like 200 universities globally assisting in the excavations and the archaeology here. Fantastic. So 800 steps up from the end of Petra. So you go through Petra, it's probably a kilometre and a half from that Treasury bit. You get the option to go up to the monastery, and about 800 steps, probably about a kilometre of quite rough steps, you come to this, which is the monastery, which is like a better preserved version of the Treasury that you see right at the start of Petra. And because it's a bit more difficult, a bit further to come up, this is pristine. And of course, you know, you can actually catch a donkey up here if you're a bit of a lazy person. And there's a coffee option as well up there. Right, okay, gonna go because I need the team photo. So Petra is definitely worth visiting. Really, you need to give it a couple of days to do it justice. There's more to it than just this Treasury here. This is, you know, an hour in, probably a kilometre and a half to get there, but then further on as it opens up, you get that vista and you get kind of where the core of the ancient city was, and that's definitely worth visiting. Kind of it being quiet was a blessing for us, really, and the weather was just perfect when we went. Okay, so that's part 2. Part 3, I think, is Wadi Rum. Talk soon. Bye.